Take a guess what figure I got. It's a perfect opportunity right now with all the hype surrounding Godzilla minus zero. And yep, I had to get myself Godzilla minus one. This is the heat ray version. This is the exclusive Tamashii Nations 2024-2023 version. And I gotta say, I couldn't resist anymore with so much hype. It's just a perfect opportunity. It's time to unbox it and check it out and see if it's really as bad as people were saying it is, or if it's really not that bad. This is going to be my first ever -1 figure, my first impression unboxing the figure in hand. Let's take a look. In the video, I realized that there's a box within a box. Like, what? You see that? And I started to realize that there's a different cover inside of here. Can you actually see that? What? I honestly did not know there was a box within a box in here. Like, that is completely interesting. Never seen that. Okay, so this is going to be my live reaction of this figure. And oh my god. Typical of Monster Arts. Anyways. I mean, the figure feels heavy. I was not expecting the figure to be this big, I want to say. No, not the leg, come on. Besides that issue, I have to say that it feels good. The blue on the dorsal plates looks really nice. It has a mix of different blues, a light blue with white, and then you have some silvers with some highlights on the dorsal plates. And the face looks great. I'm surprised because throughout the figure, I can definitely see, especially on the face, like some sparkles. I'm not sure if the camera is picking that up, but there's definitely signs of blue sparks or like sparkles throughout the body. The paint job looks really nice. Wow, I was not expecting Godzilla -1 to have toes that can actually articulate. That's pretty neat, and they look huge, by the way. The paint job around the body has a matte finish from what I can see. Looks really nice. The details, the color on the chest, it does not look bad. Like, honestly, I remember the first release for the original one was pretty bad, and everybody was talking about the face, including myself. For some reason, I can't open the mouth. It's like so sealed. I'll be back. Let me do it open, and it does not look bad. Honestly, the blue looks really nice. The sculpture on the head is not bad. I think in person it looks a lot better. Again, I don't own any of the Godzilla -1s from the previous releases, not the reissue. This is my first ever. I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to get a -1 because of all the hype, and this is one of my favorite designs. And it looks really nice in person. It does not look bad. I don't think this needs a replacement head like a lot of people are doing, but that's okay if you want to do that. And it's quite heavy compared to other figures. It is quite heavy, and so far very nice impressions, except for the leg that just fell off. But again, that's typical of Monster Arts. We know what to expect with Monster Arts. And by the way, it's raining right now, so don't mind the background, although it does feel very stiff. And right now my thumbs, yeah, look at my thumbs. They're fucked up because of too much 3D printing testing with other figures. But not bad, to be honest. Does this move? Huh. Wow, I did not know the dorsal plate can actually move. That's insane. Or is that broken? Let me know in the comments down below, because I honestly do not know if that's supposed to be normal or not. But that's pretty unique though. That I like to do, we're going to heat up the figure and make sure everything is nice and soft and smooth for the articulation. It's currently very stiff, so we're going to ease up the figure to prevent any crazy parts falling or not moving at all. Today we're going to be reviewing, years later, the exclusive S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla 2023 Heat Ray version. Now this one is a little bit different from the Comic-Con exclusive San Diego. There's two different variants and slightly different paint jobs on it, but ultimately I believe this is the better version because of the accessories, and I'll get onto that later on. Somebody who's new to Monster Arts -1, reviewing this figure after many years, I've decided to pick this up because of the hype surrounding the upcoming -0, and this is one of my favorite designs as well. Hayato's seems to be taking quite some time, and I can't let that go on anymore. I decided to give it a shot and get myself the Monster Arts, especially this version. I wanted to have a heat ray version. It's been quite some time since I purchased any Monster Arts. The last one would have to be the Godzilla Evolve, and I wanted to give it a chance because I think this might be one of the best variants out there between all the -1 versions out there. So is this figure worth it or not for a lot of people, especially if you're like me who was waiting for Hayato's to release a -1 figure and you just simply can't wait anymore? Let's take a look at the head sculpture, which a lot of criticism happened during that time with the original figure. For someone that does 3D designing and 3D printing, I must say that the head sculpture in person for this specific variant does not look bad. And it's because you don't really see a lot of the little details that you're supposed to see with the original, like the pupils, maybe some other details in the mouth. What it is, it's not a bad head sculpture, especially because of the atomic variant. You really don't mind those smaller details with the smaller head. In fact, on the head sculpture, you can see the scar from the battle damage from the movie, and it looks really nice. You can really see lots of details there. The eyes are done in a shiny, translucent material. Now let's do a close-up on the head sculpture, and it does not look bad. The eyes, the mouth area could definitely use some work, but overall it looks great. The paint job for this figure is done in a matte finish and some dry brushing throughout the body to help bring out some details. Other people will like it and others will not. You have to keep in mind when they do special editions or the Atomic Breath variants, typically those versions are done in a darker tone to bring out the highlight, which is going to be the atomic finish, the blues, the whites, and all that. Now, the beautiful thing about this figure is that you see some whites on the middle road. So it's done with a white and a lighter blue going to a baby blue. And then you see the translucent metallic dorsal plates. Now, the unique part about this, and you can probably pick it up on the camera, is that the dorsal plates are done with touches of silver. You look very carefully, you can see little touches and highlights of silver on the dorsal plates to bring out the smallest details. And then you see the fading colors of white. That's how they achieve this color. The blues are fading, the whites, the silvers, and they done this special variant different to other Godzilla figures with the atomic breath. I really do like this type of finish compared to others. I think it's a really nice take on it, but definitely could have used a little bit of more highlights throughout the body, and the blending could have been done better on the tail here. You guys can see that it's not fully painted in some areas, so it looks kind of weird. Regardless, I think it's one of the best paint jobs that we've seen in quite some time with the atomic variant. To look at the toes, claws. Now if you look, they have articulation, bam, bam, and they can move side to side, which is something new on a Godzilla figure, at least for this figure. Haven't really seen any others. I don't even think GMK had this type of articulation. Actually, on this figure, it's probably one of the biggest highlights of this specific design is how massive his feet are. And they have lots of great details. You can see the highlights and even like some spikes coming out. For the legs, thighs, knees, it's knee articulation and the leg. So this is what they can do. They go in and out.
There you go.
Kicks backwards, forwards. They move side to side. It gets the job done. Figure and this monster in the film, it didn't really do any crazy movement. It was more like a tank, so the articulation choice makes sense. Looks insane. Honestly, the amounts of details that you see on this figure is incredible. But yeah, I mean, the articulation really is there, and it does its wonders with this figure. Now let's move to the upper section here. Okay? Section of the articulation feels a little bit more limited because of the dorsal plates, and I'll get to that later on. And move it side to side, this much. So you do have great range of motion here. So you can get an idea. It does go in. And then the back section is actually a separate piece, this one right here. So you can actually move it just in case it's getting in the way of the articulation. And you can adjust this piece, which is right here. So you see that? Now, yeah. Going back to the problem, the dorsal plates, the articulated dorsal plates. There you go. It's incredible what this type of articulation can do. The movement, it's there. It's there, and I'll get to other issues later on. I'll explain why that is, but the upper section as well has lots of movement. Look at the upper section of the neck and the articulation. So you see it does go down this much. And you're supposed to be able to move the individual pieces 1, 2, and 3, but because how the design is, engineering can be a little bit tricky. So you can move the neck and the head side to side, but it's limited, and I'll explain in the negative section in a bit. But overall, you do have the right amount of range to do so. You look closely, there's little lines on the edges and on the middle. Those are designed for the dorsal plates to kick in and not really get on the way, but regardless, on mine at least, they fall off. And that's something that you can definitely see. They don't really do its job, at least on mine. They are extremely loose, and because they keep on falling off, I will have to glue them, unfortunately. One of the beautiful things about this figure has to be obviously the highlight, the dorsal plates. Under the right lighting and shining effect, look how they change. Just look how majestic this looks and wonderful. They definitely did a great job when it comes to the color choice on the dorsal plates and how it overall affects the figure. You guys see how it changes? Looks very impressive, and so much details to see even though they are translucent. The interesting part about this figure is from the tip of the tail, you don't really see much of a difference, but then you notice they are extending like in the movie. They are actually coming out. Just look at that. Now look at the dorsal plates. They're actually extending like we saw in the movie. So I want to believe that this one is different from the standard version. I don't know if the standard version has the extended dorsal plates, but if it doesn't, I want to believe this is a unique feature of the Atomic Breath version. And that's what you call attention to detail and making the difference with both versions. Very, very interesting. Now, something a lot of people may not know is that when you open the mouth on this figure, look at the gum section. It actually extends and retreats. You see that? Very interesting. I don't recall seeing this type of feature in any other Atomic version doing this. So that's very unique how they were able to do this. One of the negative aspects of this figure with the articulation and how it's limited by its own design has to be this little spike that you see on the neck. You see that right there? There's one here too. Unfortunately, that's what's preventing the figure from going side to side too much, because of that little spike that you see. You see how it's bumping onto the neck? It's preventing any type of movement or going downwards. And yes, the dorsal plates already fell off. One of them is over there. That's one of the negative as well. So the other negative part that I wanted to touch has to do with the overall engineering and design of this. Fortunately, from what I can tell, is the dorsal plates on here keep on falling off because of how spiky they are. This isn't a problem with the engineering, but rather its own design, how -1 was built. Too many jagged dorsal plates get in the way of the articulation. The articulation is there. Again, it's there. It's simply how it's designed that -1 is limited in its own way. So sure, you get your traditional articulation, but nothing too crazy where you can't really bend. The articulation here works fine. I'm just saying that in some areas it feels very limited because of how -1 is meant to be, how it's designed. It's so bulky, so spiky, that its own design just gets on the way of the articulation. And maybe if they would have made the neck section a little bit downwards and deeper for there to be enough space, it could have worked. Now let's move on to the accessories. You get the base and a stand for your atomic breath. This is what it looks like. It's semi-translucent from the tip, and then obviously right here it's done with a white covering up the translucent material. Details on it, they're okay, not the best. Especially the paint job, I think could have been done a little bit better. I think I do like the other variant of the atomic breath, I believe so, but it is what it is. We still have a unique atomic breath for the exclusive -1 figure. I don't think we've seen one like this in quite some time. They typically use the same atomic breath. At the bottom there is a little hole for you to attach it. That's all you do. You set up your figure with the atomic breath, and there you go. Now the other accessory is the little plane that we saw on the film. For the size, it has decent details. Very nice details here. You have a little hole. That hole is because you have this little like peg that attaches there onto the stand. So let's recreate that right now. Okay, let's remove the stand right here. Now where's that little base? This section is attached to this, and then a tiny hole is supposed to go here. Did I get it right? It's kind of tough to get the little plane in place. Hopefully it does not fall off. There you go, you get the idea. My final thoughts with this figure is the hype around Godzilla -0 is real. It's coming out by the end of this year, I believe, and a lot of people are looking forward to the incredible sequel of Godzilla -1 onto Godzilla -0. And if you're looking for a great figure to represent Godzilla -1 out of all of them, I think this is a great choice. It has decent amount of accessories that hardly Monster Arts does, especially for the Godzilla line. It's rare to see accessories like planes, a new atomic breath, a new take on the dorsal plates, reimagining the dorsal plates for them to extend out, and the paint job on this figure looks phenomenal. The face, from the original and reissue, I believe this would have to be the best out of all of them. And I believe the other San Diego exclusive version does a fantastic job as well. So if you're concerned that you're going to get a figure that looks derpy with a bad paint job, I think this one would be the best. Now, why would this one be better than the San Diego exclusive one? Because the San Diego exclusive one only has the atomic version, and I believe the atomic breath, and that's about it. You don't get the plane, which is the exclusive part, and the stand. Obviously, the atomic breath, this piece is done in a different color. It's supposed to be an exclusive, and it's supposed to remain that way. So in order for them to bring this exclusive piece to the United States, it's done differently without adding this additional piece. Instead, I believe this is a solid entry on the Monster Arts line for anybody that's been holding off, just like me, to get a Godzilla -1. And because, you know, there's a lot of hype surrounding this specific Godzilla for the sequel, is this a great opportunity to buy the Monster Arts version? I would say it's a solid figure. If you're going to get one, this has to be the version because of how many accessories it has. It has beautiful translucent dorsal plates. The tail has fantastic articulation. This really does feel like a solid entry, except for some minor issues for the engineering and how the Godzilla design is meant to be, that's stopping the full pulsability of this figure to fully get the range out. And obviously some people are going to be bothered. The head sculpture for some people could have been done more sharper, more detailed, and that's understandable. I can see the reasons behind that statement right there and why you believe they could have done better of this figure. Like the original one, the figure itself looks very beautiful, and as I said countless times, this has to be the better version out of every single one. It's the one that's most valuable for the worth that you're getting in return with the accessories, and how different and unique in some of the issues that the previous figures had. This one has all of that fixed. And of course, that's optional. If you want a new head sculpture, go for it. Buy a 3D sculpted one. It's always going to improve the figure, but I don't think it's a big deal. Now, of course, the other letdown on this figure have to be the teeth, and there's a reason for that. Obviously, he's using the atomic breath. This is going to go inside, so eventually it would have knocked out the teeth like the dorsal plates. They keep falling off, and obviously we don't want that. Yes, they could have done a better job with the teeth, but there's always a sacrifice that has to be done for something to work out. But it's not a big deal for me. I'm not looking at the figure. I'm not looking at those little details when the mouth is obviously closed or open using the atomic breath. That's something that could be customized or fixed, as I said, with the 3D sculpted head. Debating, should I just wait for Hayatoys? But Hayatoys has already took quite some time, and honestly, the hype is so real for -0. I'm so excited for that, and honestly, I do recommend this figure if you're out there in the market and you're looking for an exclusive version. This is the one. I give this an 8.9. It's very close to being a perfect figure. Great accessories, great paint job, amazing dorsal plates. Holding this back is the articulation because of how it's designed and the head sculpture overall. Very close to a perfected figure. Great job, Monster Arts. I'm very happy with my purchase, and I'm looking forward to other figures from this line and from Hayatoys. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. I do have other Godzilla figures on the way, and I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Stay for the end of the video to see some amazing shots. Thank you for watching.